Did you start?
Yeah, he started.
That's how you, get people into the interrogation.
I think this is the friendliest interrogation ever, right?
Yeah. You guys are a fun bunch.
Can we tuck in? Can we
of course.
start?
Yeah, let's do that.
I mean, ice cream for breakfast is like you've made my day and
I
the rest
know.
of my week. My trainer's going to kill me, but that's okay.
You know what?
Yeah.
You just give them a tub and they'll be fine.
Yeah, okay, cool. Welcome to Nourished by Spinneys, where we promise to inspire you to eat well and live well. I'm Tiffany Eslick.
And I'm Devina Devecha. We're continuing our chats with leading players in the food community, from farmers to foodies, as well as health and well-being experts. It's all about engaging conversations and fresh ideas. So, Tiff, why do I have 2 tubs of sorbet in front of me?
I thought I'd sweeten you up this morning.
Okay.
You looked like you hadn't had breakfast. It is because we have just chatted to the guy behind Canvas Gelato, everyone's favorite gelato brand in Dubai, Ahmad Al Marri. And he has created 2 exquisite ice creams. One sorbet and one gelato.
Okay.
Using our Spinneys Scottish strawberries.
Oh, lovely.
So we did 2 flavors. One is dairy-free and the other one is gelato.
Mm-hmm.
The dairy-free option is strawberry sorbet with olive oil and basil, all Spinneys food products. And the second flavor is a burrata gelato made with Spinneys burrata and strawberry jam.
I think there's no harm in having 2 helpings of ice cream in the space of 1 hour.
Nothing at all.
Yeah.
So where did the inspiration for this come about?
So these Scottish strawberries are part of our Discovery range, our new premium range that we've launched at Spinneys. And we're really looking always to do special things with these products. And we've been wanting to work with Ahmed for ages. His ice cream is such great quality. And so, it just sort of happened. And he's turned it around super quickly. And let me know. What do you think?
This is amazing.
Yeah.
I have a favorite.
Yes,
which
already? I'm impressed.
Yes, which is the one with the burrata.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for cheese of some form. But in this one, like, the basil really cuts through. You can really take, so weird. It's like I'm eating, fresh basil. The strawberries are there, but it's honestly, that's what I'm surprised by. The fact that, I can feel fresh herb.
Yeah, you've just plucked it out of the garden.
How is that possible?
He really knows what
This
he's
one's
doing
really
with
good.
flavor combinations. But I think it's fascinating with the burrata. It's Ahmed calls it sophisticated,
Yeah.
And there's something that's so Moorish as well. You just want spoon after spoonful of this.
No wonder you're having your second helping.
Yes, I know. Sorry, trainer. Yeah. So let's jump in. I want you to hear all about it. How did you decide to do burrata and strawberry jam? Where did that idea come from?
When you look at food pairings in general, certain things make sense, but maybe they were never presented in the context of ice cream. But you'll find them in salads and you'll find them, in a drinks menu.
Yeah.
If it's acceptable to find cucumbers in a mocktail, why wouldn't you have burrata and gelato?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I think these pairings work well in different cuisines, different formats, whether sweet or savory. So, and that's where we start off with. So always starts from scratch, always starts from blank canvas, and we see if these pairings work. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes it sounds like a good idea, and usually they work, but sometimes it's a learning opportunity.
Yeah. When they don't work, do you just eat them anyway?
If it's good enough, yeah. If it's not, then
Yeah. Not worth the calories.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, let's start with the sorbet, I think, right?
Yeah, that's
the
the
lightest
sorbet
one.
first.
Okay.
Fruit for breakfast.
Fruit for breakfast. Exactly.
100%.
In terms of percentage, did you just play around to make sure that you get that the strawberries really shine through?
You start off with a benchmark starting point, like certain fruits. You put a certain percentage, but then when you try them, you figure out if it was too little or too much. And sometimes playing around with quantities brings out the flavor more. So more doesn't necessarily mean better.
Okay, yeah.
We've had an old recipe of black sesame. And we always start with a certain ratio of nuts and seeds in our gelato. And the black sesame gelato was the only one that we had to drop drastically for the flavor to come out.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And, it's always a starting point sometimes. So with the strawberries, we started off with our baseline recipe. And we felt like the strawberries had more personality that we wanted to show. And we increased the quantities. Like, this is the most strawberries we've ever done in a sorbet.
Oh, cool.
So that's great.
Yeah. All right, let's tuck in. I feel I want to take you to the farm in Scotland where these strawberries come from. I think that you would absolutely love it.
I'm willing to go.
Yeah.
Whatever services you need, we can do fresh gelato and sorbet on the farm.
Perfect.
As long as I get to go and
see, this is not an interrogation. This is,
that's how they rule you. That's how they put you in.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So since the last tasting, the strawberries are really shining through now.
And if I create the same recipe with different strawberries, you'll definitely feel the difference.
Oh yeah, yeah. You just won't have that sweetness and that sort of roundedness, I like that you can still get the olive oil though, and there's that basil that gets you at the end, which is so lovely.
This was fun to make.
Wonderful. And okay for breakfast, actually. Yeah. And then, right, the burrata. So that's with our Italian burrata coming from the Zanetti family.
Yes.
Another place I need to take you. Let's hope I'm not overpromising.
My suitcase is ready.
Yeah, it is.
Whenever you want.
Okay, cool. All right.
So I'm ready.
Okay, great.
The whole point of this was for you to take me on trips.
Okay, perfect. Done.
So what I like about these ones is the gelato was a bit more savory than I'm used to.
Yeah.
And the strawberry jam cuts through the saltiness. It still feels like dessert.
Yeah.
But definitely feels a bit more mature, sophisticated, I think. I think sophisticated was a word you want to use.
Yeah. It's also so pretty to look at. I love these two really complement each other,
This was a surprise. I always wanted to do burrata. We've done different cheeses. So we did ricotta, parmigiano, but we've never done burrata.
What did you do with parmigiano?
Chocolate chips and strawberry jam.
Oh.
And that was one.
Interesting though. Yeah.
Parmigiano was nice.
But never burrata.
Never burrata.
Okay, yeah. And just love the way the strawberry jam works with this. You're right, it does cut through it. But again, you still get that hint of burrata.
It also gives a chance for you to celebrate a different product from the Spinneys line. And yes, the story is about the strawberries, but there are other characters in play here. And I think the burrata wins out of all the other ingredients.
Well done.
Thank you. Must be the products.
Yeah, it's the products and the skill. Thank you. So tell me, when is this launching? I'm holding you to a date.
We're launching this week. If you're following Spinneys and you're following Canvas, you will find out. And if you're subscribed to the email newsletter, you will know before everybody else.
Perfect. Great news.
I'm looking forward to this.
Absolutely. Right. I want to know more about Canvas because you and I have spoken on social media for many, many years, and we see each other at events, and then we're always saying we need to hang out, and we don't hang out.
Yeah, and I've been waiting for my podcast invitation as well.
Here it is.
Finally, here I am. It took me a while. I made a list of all the potential guests that may end up coming from the food scene.
Yeah.
And I had my name at the very bottom.
Oh.
So every time somebody comes, I say, okay, 49 to go, and then 48 to go, and then 47 to go.
Oh my gosh.
Like I was getting closer. But it all went downhill when I started seeing guests who weren't on my list and said, well, wait a minute, where did these guys come from? So then I lost hope. But here I am. Here we are.
Your vision board list worked.
So now, what episode are we on?
Gosh, I don't even know. You should know.
70?
70 maybe? Like, yeah.
62?
62.
Yeah, that makes me what? Spinneys top 62 under 62?
Yeah. Excellent.
I'm happy.
Yeah. So I want to read out your bio because...
Not my bio, the brand's bio.
The brand's bio. So a palate snob, an art school dropout, and a meme account admin started a gelato company. Let's talk about this.
Pretty accurate, I think.
Pretty accurate, okay.
The intention wasn't always gelato. It was... the intention was always a medium of expression. And the medium of expression ended up coming in the form of ice cream because I felt that was the easiest way to translate certain flavors produce. The palette snob meme account admin is basically being able to appeal to a certain audience who cares about produce and flavors, and also being able to cater to a specific type of cafe and restaurant that care about their menu and produce and the products they sell, while also feeling attached to the community and part of the community that supports you, instead of feeling pretentious and a snob. And I'm part of snob, but I'm also self-aware. And at the same time, the account is an internet troll, if you've ever noticed.
Yeah.
So there's this bit of an identity crisis that is now being celebrated rather than trying to figure out where the brand sits.
Yeah, very clever. I've always loved your social media.
It was a process. I love Spinneys too, so I think Spinneys made it easier to troll people because if the big people can do it, then small people can do it too.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you are a Dubai kid.
Yeah.
You grew up here. You told me that you've been to Spinneys, your whole life.
Oh yeah, of course.
What are some of your biggest memories, fondest memories?
I've been to Spinneys numerous, thousands of times, but there was one scene, and it always used to be with my mother. And Spinneys was a treat. Like you'd go to other supermarkets, but then the end of the month, mid-month treat was always a Spinneys trip. It always felt different. It was always easy to navigate. The playlist, even in the 90s, was great.
Yeah.
The Spinneys playlist isn't a new thing. If you've been here long enough, you'd know. And we used to go to the Spinneys in Mutina, opposite Strand Cinema. If you've been here long enough and you've lived in Deira, you know where Strand Cinema is.
Okay.
That building does not exist anymore. And it's close to the Maktoum Bridge.
Okay.
So if you're coming from Dubai, heading down Maktoum Bridge, you go straight. The building, or what used to be the building, was on your left side. But I also have other memories of Spinneys because my dad used to supply Spinneys in a previous life with tea and honey.
Okay.
And it was always fun to go to the supermarket and see my dad's products.
That's so cool.
That was an experience.
Yeah.
I remember when the Manara Spinneys was the new Spinneys. Like when it first opened.
Wow.
And that was like, for me, that's still the new Spinneys.
Yeah.
We used to go as kids and play in Fun Corner down at the corner where Starbucks is now. There was play area in the corner.
Okay.
On the right side, on the right side of Starbucks. We used to play with our cousins there. And it was always a trip going to Jumeirah. We had Jumeirah cousins.
Yeah.
So it was always fun to go to Spinneys.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I grew up with Spinneys. It was always part of
I
life.
love hearing these sort of memories, because we're all new to the country, really. And it's wonderful. I also like to page through our history file. It's in my office.
I'd like to have a look at that.
Yeah, I will afterwards.
Please.
Let's do that because I actually think you'll appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
It's fascinating just watching it how it's morphed over the years. Did you know that it started in Egypt?
I know.
Yeah, basically all started by this guy Arthur Rawdon Spinney in 1924 in Egypt, and then he moved around the region, and so he moved kind of the headquarters. So it was in Lebanon, there was in Baghdad, and different countries. I'll show you through the file.
Yes.
And then it ended up here in the 60s before the UAE was a country.
Being like growing up with a brand that maybe even in the 90s didn't feel so small, but having the opportunity to see it grow and expand, and it feeling. Obviously, brands evolve and experiences evolve and people evolve as well. But being able to grow with an establishment in the country, you don't get to experience that in other industries. Like there are certain restaurants that have been there ever since.
Yeah.
Certain hotels that you still frequent. But a brand like Spinneys, I grew up with. I bought my Marvel comics from there when I was a kid. We bought our shopping list from there, and there was always a Spinneys community mall, and there were always fun little shops, in the mall. Whether that was a VHS store,
Gosh, VHS, I remember that. Yeah,
VHS store, or even there used to be a shop. At the location I just mentioned that used to sell t-shirts that I've never seen anywhere else. They were basically Michael Jordan NBA t-shirts, and it was fun and fascinating.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. And the bulletin board was always a Spinneys thing.
It still is.
And it still is.
Yeah.
And it fascinates me that, a simple thing can last this long and people still recognize it.
Yeah, that's so true. I always think there's more that we could be doing with that because it's still so much, part of our stores.
Yeah, 100%.
We touched on a bit of like how you work with flavors, but where did you get this knowledge from? Is it all self-taught? Because you often come up with fascinating flavors. Like I remember the one that you did with Fadi Katan for the dinner that he did
Yes.
here. And I mean, I've been eating your ice cream for years. There is a sophistication, but it's not isolating. It doesn't appeal to, as you say, only palate snobs. How are you teaching yourself this and how do you know it?
Initially, what fascinated me with the ice cream, I discovered, lo and behold, that you can actually make ice cream from scratch, and the ice cream isn't a mix of powder, coloring, and syrups. And when I discovered the revelation, like it's like any other food, because I didn't know, I was brought up with certain brands that always felt very rainbowy and unicorny and all that. I thought to myself, wait a minute, that means I can make any flavor I want. So we started testing. The first flavor I did was black sesame gelato, as soon as I learned. The second was goat cheese and fig jam.
Okay. Oh, nice.
And when I realized that these are flavors that work in ice cream, we started making more of them. In 2018, I went to Bologna again to do another course, about 2.5 weeks. And we came back better equipped with making better recipes, and I've been making recipes ever since.
Wow, amazing.
So how do I come up with flavors? When you're not taught to think a certain way, and the fact that you've stumbled upon this as a fun little project, you don't have an understanding of what's allowed and what's not allowed. And like, these aren't inventions. Like, you will end up finding somebody somewhere else in the world who does burrata and ricotta ice cream with fun jams and fun pairings. But I think they also had a certain journey where they were like, we don't want to make the typical, and we want to turn what we make into typical choices for people to try. And fine, gelato as a product is Italian, but I don't need to stick to Italian recipes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you were to take the other side of the spectrum, and if you end up making a Buza brand, for example, if you end up doing a Buza brand, they don't have the flavors don't have to be Levantine. You can end up doing anything else you want. And that opens up a whole different conversation of, what produce do you have? What combinations can I use? And opens the avenue also for collaborations with other brands and other food makers. We had, in May, we did a collaboration with Carne Store. We took their beef tallow, made beef tallow caramel.
Oh, yeah.
We took their bacon and we did maple syrup candied bacon, and their duck fat into duck fat caramel sauce.
Nice.
With rosemary cookies. And, these are duck fat, rosemary.
Yeah.
Ducks and rosemary always work in Christmas.
Yeah.
So, and I think, why wouldn't they work in, in ice cream?
Yeah.
And they did.
That's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. It's
Where was my invite for that? I'm kidding.
I was waiting for my invite. So anyways, now we're equal.
Are there any kind of dream collaborations you want to do with anyone in the world? Or do you like it to just kind of pop up out of, and be spontaneous?
It depends if they're listening.
Yeah.
So, if you keep I get surprised every now and then when, somebody proposes a collaboration. Surprised because they're also brands that I really like to work with. And, when you're, when you're busy with whatever you're doing, sometimes you forget that like attracts like. And if you think something is, attractive, that idea also finds the idea of working with you attractive. And I like to keep it open, but I've always been lucky to, if I propose, it was always to somebody who shared the same idea. And if I was ever approached, they knew exactly what they wanted for the collaboration, and it was always fun.
Yeah, very cool. Do you still see this as like a fun side project, or do you see this as a really good business?
Frankenstein was a fun project at some point, but then, Frankenstein outgrew the scientist, and that's where we are now in life.
Okay.
Hence why the evolution into a meme admin account.
Yeah.
I see this growing.
Yeah.
Initially, it started off as a medium of expression, creative outlet. And I see it, I see it growing in terms of B2B and hopefully maybe someday a retail space.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I want to know where you eat in Dubai and what you think of the current food culture, because you've obviously seen it grow your entire life. I think it's super exciting now. I've been here for almost 15 years. I've seen it really change. But yeah, from your point of view.
What we see now is the result of certain chefs and certain entrepreneurs trying to create things that may not have felt relevant when they first started, and they were ahead of their time. There were so many people, I think, who wanted to do things that felt, I wouldn't want to say questionable, but maybe questionable in terms of whether or not they're going to succeed. I enjoy having lunch at Kinoya every now and then. Nia has a great friend. But Nia started as a supper club and then grew into a restaurant. And if you take the concept of a supper club when there were a few supper clubs involved at that time, it was a very niche idea, and the majority of people wouldn't go into somebody's house and eat food. Not because they felt it was unsafe, but they felt it was rude to go to somebody's house uninvited and eating food, and also having, on top of that, having an opinion on whether the food is nice or not. If you look at Muhammad Orfali, for example, I think he did an amazing job with something nobody has ever created. One of my favorite burgers is obviously Lento from Chef Faisal. Many restaurants are doing a great job. Many chefs are doing a great job. Entrepreneurs as well. And I think what we see today is a result of them trying really hard to stick with their ideas and come up with a concept that they feel represents them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Top 5 restaurants I'd go to. I wouldn't say top 5, but top 5 out of my head right now. Kinoya, Lento, definitely Orfali Bros. You always have space for a salt burger as well.
Really?
Yeah. One more I really enjoy is the Marmelata.
Oh, so I haven't been yet.
You haven't been?
I'm going when I get back in 2 weeks.
Marmelata is, I think, probably the only restaurant worth a road trip. And you go on an hour and a half drive to Abu Dhabi. You have a pizza. You drive back and you're content with that decision, because we can debate on what's the best pizza in the country, but what I think we'll agree on is this is a very different pizza than anything else we've tried.
Okay. I'll message you as soon as I've tried it.
It's something else.
I'm hearing this from everyone.
And it's not overhyped. Because when you go and it feels hyped and you get to stand in line, you come up with this preconceived notion that maybe I won't end up having an opinion because everybody says it's nice, then I have to say it's nice. But when you try it, you realize why it's different. And to you, maybe it's not the best pizza, but it is definitely different than anything else you've tried.
Oh, I'm really excited.
It's a great pizza. And Raj is a great guy.
I've heard, yeah.
He's a great guy. He's amazing.
Really
great family
fun.
too.
Yeah. Have you been to Manal? I went recently.
I haven't been.
That is excellent.
I haven't been. I've been wanting to, but I think I should go soon.
Yeah. I went a few weeks ago with some friends, and honestly, every course was outstanding.
I've tried Abaraj's food before at Yellow Monkey.
Yeah.
And it was like nothing I've tried before. It was great. And I think Manal was just an extension of that.
Yeah.
Both talented chefs. They're both great.
Yeah.
I think they're doing a great job.
Absolutely. I have one last question for you, unless you have any questions for me, because I feel like you would be really good as a podcast host.
You think?
Yes, yeah. We ask everyone this, but what nourishes your soul?
I think happy moments. happy moments with family, family meals, happy moments with friends, just being around, and doesn't have to be a large group of people, but being around people that care about you and you care about them, and being able to share a moment. And I think that's why it was easy. Making ice cream made sense to me, because it's an easy medium for people to share a bowl or a scoop of ice cream and have a good time. And that's what I try to present with this product. We're always busy, and we're always either stuck in traffic or on meetings or trying to rush into things, and having that 1 hour a few times a week when you sit and talk with friends or family or whoever it is, I think is very important throughout the week.
Yeah, to keep it up as well.
And to give you perspective and it reminds you that you have roots. And even for people who have family abroad, they've ended up building relationships here with people, and that's still as important.
Absolutely.
An hour of a fruitful conversation with somebody over laughter and a board game or whatever makes up for a day's traffic and your mid-year appraisal not going as you liked, and having hard-shouldered on the road. It's
that's so true.
No, we're all human beings, and that's all we want in life, I think.
You really are bringing joy to a lot of people through your
that's my hope, and that's why I'm here. And sometimes people follow Canvas and they've never bought anything, and that's fine, as long as you've had a good time and you've laughed. That's that's all that matters. People come to social media to escape sometimes, and you don't push a product down their throats and hope for them to appreciate it. They're here to have a good time, and if you end up making them have a good time, that's all you want sometimes.
That's so true. Thank you, and thank
you for having me. This was great.
It was fun.
It was really fun.
I think you do embody fun. Like whenever I see you out, you always got this huge smile, and you're just loving where you are and loving the moment. And I'm so glad that we could have you on
me
this.
too. And I think it's also a testament of the community that we're a part of.
Absolutely.
And it makes it easier to connect with people, do fun projects. We're all a phone call away from a brilliant idea, if not a phone call away, a DM away. And I think this collaboration is a testament as well. Who would have thought that a small ice cream brand would do a fun project with Spinneys, a brand that they've grown up with. And it's a testament to where we are as a community and where we are as a food scene. It's brilliant. It's great.